Welcome everybody to the Brown Bag. We are excited to have you join us this day. We are going to be learning about preferences, portals, and paperwork. We have three speakers. One is Marcy Woodward. She's the State Cooperative Contract Manager for the Health and Human Services Pod. She's going to discuss the preferences found in Utah Procurement Code. Sherilyn Hess is the Assistant Director responsible for state cooperative contracts, and she has some exciting things to tell us about the State Cooperative Contract Portal. And I will be the third speaker. My name is Tara Utzler, and I'm the Training Coordinator here at the division, and I'll cover the paperwork portion. Now, give me just a second. I'm trying to see if Marcy is available. We're in the middle of implementing a new system, and it's been a little bit crazy. But she is here, so I'm going to stop sharing, and Marcy's going to start sharing. She's going to jump right in. Thanks, Marcy.
All right. Can everybody see that?
We can. Can you go ahead and turn off that thing that says hide at the bottom?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Marcy Woodward. I am a procurement manager with the State of Utah Division of Purchasing and General Services, also known as State Purchasing. And today we're going to be talking about preferences. And so what is a preference? It's an advantage given to certain vendors during a procurement solicitation process. So, for example, it might be preferring local vendors over out-of-state vendors, women-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned, and those sorts of things. And Utah's approach is that we have no standard preferences. This is based on the purpose as stated at the beginning of Utah's procurement code, that with all of our procurement solicitations, we are seeking transparency, fair and equitable treatment to all, and increased economy, and effective broad-based competition. And allowing preferences goes counter to the rest of the things in this purpose statement. So Utah does recognize that our Utah vendors are sometimes at a disadvantage when they are replying to solicitations from other states, especially other states when the other state offers, say, a local preference to their local vendors and things. And so we have Part 10 of our code that gives a defensive reciprocal preference. It only gets triggered in a case, well, we'll go into what triggers it, but it happens when another state offers a preference to their vendors. And it's intended to level the playing field. It's intended to protect Utah vendors when they compete against vendors from other states. So the first type of reciprocal preference that a vendor can request is for them to declare that they are a resident contractor. In order for them to be a resident contractor, the definition is business entities with a principal place of business in Utah, or that they employ Utah residents. And they must be a resident contractor when the solicitation is announced. So they can't see our RFP get posted or our bid get posted and then go become a resident contractor. They have to already be a resident contractor at the time we release the solicitation. And then they must respond to that solicitation. And in their solicitation, they have to declare that they are a resident contractor and that they're requesting a reciprocal preference. And they're making this declaration without knowing if it will ever come into play. It will all depend on, who the competition is who also responds to the solicitation. The other type of reciprocal preference they can request is a state product preference. And a state product is something that is produced, manufactured, mined, grown, or services performed in the state of Utah. And again, it must be a state product already happening in our state at the time that the solicitation is announced. And the vendor must include in their solicitation response that they are offering us state products and that they are requesting the reciprocal preference. So if we have a vendor submit in their bid or a response that they are requesting a reciprocal preference, we'll check their status, confirming that that status was in place at the time that we released the solicitation. And then we'll go through our procurement process the same way we always would, and have it determine who is the vendor that's poised for award. And then if the vendor that is poised for award is an out-of-state vendor, and one of the vendors in the vendor pool has requested a reciprocal preference, then we can trigger the rest of the process. And so we would research what happens in the state where the vendor that's poised for award, what happens in their state as far as their procurement code, and does their procurement code have any preference? If we find out that their state doesn't offer any sort of preferences, then we just move on with the award as we would have. If we find out that their state does have some sort of a preference, we would then try to say, okay, if Utah had this same law, and we did a hypothetical to apply that same law in Utah to this procurement solicitation, how would that change the results of this? Would our vendor then be tying or maybe even outbidding the non-Utah vendor? And if the answer to that is yes, then we move on to step 3, that we would then offer our Utah vendor. We'd notify them and say, here's the bid that's currently poised for award. We are going to offer you the opportunity to match that bid. The Utah vendor has 72 hours to respond as to whether or not they're willing to price match that low bid from the out-of-state vendor. If they say yes, then the award can go to the Utah vendor. If they say that they're not willing to price match, then we award to the out-of-state vendor as we would have anyway. There is an exception related to this, that if anything with applying these preferences or whatnot were to conflict with federal requirements related to federal funds, we would scrap the idea of applying a reciprocal preference. If there's no conflict, then we can apply it. But if there is a conflict, we let the federal guidelines govern. Also, this may not apply to everybody on the call, only the people that are subject to Administrative Rule R33, so all executive branch agencies and any other entities that have adopted R33. But when we're looking at our tie-breaking rule in circumstances of ties, our rule just affirms that we need to look and see whether or not there's any reciprocal preference that needs to be addressed before using other tie-breaking methods. And so to recap, we've got Utah's approach of no standard preferences, that we offer limited protection to protect our Utah vendors in Utah solicitations when they compete against vendors from other states that have preference laws. And there's the requirement that the vendors must request a reciprocal preference in their solicitation response, and the reciprocal preference cannot conflict with federal funding requirements. And there's also an amusing learning tool that I'm going to share with you. This was posted in our June 2026 newsletter, and AI helped create it. I'm going to exit that for a moment and come over here and read you this cute poem. If the lowest of bids comes far, far away from a state with a rule that makes their products play, a rule that says, hey, give our locals the prize, which isn't quite fair in a Utah's own eyes, then look at the bids from the beehive-shaped state. Did Utah bid too? Did they calculate? If you give them the discount that the other state yields for the things that they grew or made in their fields, and if now the two totals are equal or less, then Utah has won a wonderful mess. The procurement unit must jump and must shout and do two little things to sort the whole thing out. First, you must send them a note or a card or a letter to tell the local bidder they're preferred and they're better. Second, you'll buy from this Utah. Yes, that is the plan, but only if they say, oh yes, we can. They must write it in writing and sign with a pen to match that low price of the out-of-state men. But tick-tock goes the clock. They must do it with power within 72 of the very last hour. So any questions or comments? I'm hearing a, go ahead.
So is resident contractor and resident vendor interchangeable? Maybe to give you more specifics, corporation that I work for is Arizona, but I'm a Utah resident, the salesperson. So I'm just wondering, everything you just described, if in our mind it is the same or if there's a differentiation between the two.
I would say resident contractor and resident vendor can be used interchangeably in common language. But in order for, like, in their solicitation response, they should not say, I'm a resident vendor. They should say, I'm a resident contractor, because that's the phrase used in our Utah law in Part 10.
Marcy, but part of it says that it has to be the principal place of business.
It's the principal place of business or employing Utah residents. So maybe if a corporation is incorporated in a different state but has a presence here in Utah where they are employing Utah residents, they could still qualify as a resident contractor.
Great, thank you.
Excellent question. Any others? All right, thank you so much. We've got more presentations coming.
Hey, Sherilyn, you're up.
Perfect. Thank you, Marcy. Well, I'll just jump right in. I am the second P, portals, in this. Sherilyn Hess. I believe we've announced over time, I can't quite recall if we've told everybody, but we have updated the Utah Statewide Cooperative Contract Search. Hopefully, one of the big things I think will be the best is if you ever got that, we call it in our office, the spinning wheel of death. We were on ancient servers and we are off those servers. So you might actually be able to search when you're on our website. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. But let's go and kind of show you the differences. There are slight differences, but I think overall, if you've used our Statewide Cooperative Contract Search, this will not feel like much of a transition for you at all. This is what it looks like. So if you remember previously, along the top, there was just the search bar and you could type in your keywords, your portfolio, your contract number. So what's changed a little bit here is where things are located and how you use the search. So the big one is this list select portfolio. Now you can scroll through the list and see all of the portfolios available. One of the feedback that we received from people is they didn't know the names of the portfolio. If they could just see some of the portfolio names, then they would maybe know what they're looking for. So one of the first options up there is the list of the portfolio. So you can scroll through, you could type, maybe you're like, I know it starts, it's heavy equipment or something like that. You could start typing heavy and it's just like a normal search. It'll go in there. I am toying with the idea of a live demonstration. So if we can kind of test these, we'll see how my time goes. But that's how you would search through the portfolio section. We still have the counties section that was there before. So you could pick a portfolio. I'm going to just pick one of these at the top. You're looking for air monitoring equipment, and then you could pick your county, and then it will only show the results for that portfolio in that county. So then you can still narrow by county for our rural people like you were able to previously. I think the next one was county. So you see up there, it'll fill in, or you could just leave it in all. So that's where you would type in your counties. So the biggest change, I would say, is the keyword search. I think the keyword search has vastly improved in this edition of SCC. We are still not Google, but you don't have to rely on my creativity to think of keywords anymore. Previously, I think we've taught a lot of how to like search our contracts, and we would say, you know, let us know if we should be adding keywords, that we're missing something in there. Now the keyword search is an OCR basically. So it will search by contract number, by the portfolio name, the vendor name, the contact name. Maybe you think you're like, oh, I know it's Bob Smith, but what company was Bob with? And you could search for that contact name and it'll show up. You would also be able to search what's in the contract. Now, if we at State Purchasing have OCR that contract. Now, some I think may not have been done properly because we just pulled over stuff previously. So we're going to be going through and making sure that our contracts the documents themselves are searchable. But I think we've been pretty much building our contracts in Adobe pretty much the whole time I've been here. So, you know, 8 years or something like that. So realistically, I would say, unless it's maybe a rural vendor where they did a wet signature, those contracts are still going to be searchable in our system. So that can get you the answers for any of one. So I kind of wanted to show, I have one example up here and then we could kind of have fun and do some searching. But you type in the keyword, right? And you press the search and then it shows right here. Now, why I wanted to point this out is when I was searching contract numbers, sometimes I would forget what contract number I wrote in the search because it disappears out of the little search bar once you press the search button. So it's searching right here so you can see. Now, is this what I was looking for? Maybe, maybe not. I had searched in this example for a taser. So I got a taser, electronic control devices. That's probably what I was really looking for. But it also had public safety video systems. I'm not sure exactly, but somewhere in those contracts, taser is found in there. So maybe it's a brand name. Maybe it was something completely, I'm thinking of a police taser and you were thinking of a brand name. If it's in the contract, it's going to pull up as the answer. So this is how it's a little bit different. The keywords I forgot to mention as well. It's also in the ordering instructions and in the additional. So basically that normal landing page that you guys are used to. Let me kind of skip through if I can get to, oh, I don't have a landing page. So the normal landing page that you guys are used to, it's back there and we can show it in a moment. It's searching everything on there as well. So it's going to be better, but if you really loved the way you were searching before, maybe it's not that great because those keywords we made up don't exist anymore. So I know keywords are one of the biggest things on the state contract search. Is there any questions on that? Perfect. Let's see, Rachel. I am not sure how it prioritizes the answers, Rachel. I don't know the answer to that. Why potentially taser electronic showed first over these other ones. In our old system, we did very much have a randomization built in to the search. And we kind of showed that quite a few times. Like next time you do this search, maybe Motorola would show at top and then Axion at the bottom. This was a complicated math formula that some tech people wrote, but it's not true randomization like it was in the other one. They had to do some like numbers and minuses, but it's not like the randomization previously. Going to the next question, this is not AI. And the platform we are on currently doesn't have that technology for this search. Will it find a vendor on NASPO contracts? You know what, John? If I get to a live demo, I'll show how the NASPO contracts will search. Yes. And
can I call out something on that, Sherilyn?
Yes.
With regards to the NASPO contracts for John's question. We want to make sure that we're talking about the ones that the state of Utah has PAs on, not necessarily every contract that is available on NASPO Value Point. So what we're talking about is our own space and the space that we have contracts and participating addendums under those NASPO master agreements. So if you're looking for something that is anything that's available through an existing NASPO master agreement, that's going to be on the NASPO website, and that's a little bit beyond the scope of our contract search, just to clarify.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. And David, I think your question is very good. This is live and active contracts. On our old search, we did keep up contracts I think it was an additional maybe 6 months. This system, they will disappear the day after. So if the contract expires today, August 20th, it will not be on our website tomorrow, August 21st. So if you needed a copy or something like that, please reach out to us and we can assist you to get that documents that you may need. Perfect. So let's go. It still has the get a quote. So it's still in the same place, the upper right-hand corner. Let me go back. I was not very clear with that. You would pick the blue contract button to look at that contract, right? So if you wanted to look at this TASER contract, you would press this. It's a link, and then it would take you to this next page, the landing page. And the get a quote is still up in that top right-hand corner. Still the same idea. You fill out with your agency name, email. You can still upload a file. Just a reminder, it emails every vendor in that portfolio, not just the vendor that you've asked to get a quote. It will email all of the people in the portfolio. If you're curious who's in that portfolio, you would scroll down and it will show all the related contracts. Those are all the people it's emailing. And then this is showing it right here. Oh, good. Great job, Sherilyn. I did put a slide for this. So this is showing the related contracts. So in this example, whatever contract I was looking at, it would bid on this. If there was other contracts from this vendor, I was looking at the Amazon contract. Amazon has 2 contracts. So it's showing this is another Amazon contract, the online marketplace. This is showing if you did a quote request, it would quote between Amazon and Bob Barker. So it's similar thing that it did before, same idea there. And let's just go.
You have one more question.
One more question. Sorry, let's look. Is there a way to locate a vendor? You know what? Diane, let's try it out. Don't know. If Logitech is written into the contract in an OCRable document, yes, it would return that in the results. So let's give that a try. I think that's a great question, Diane. So here I am on our search, our website. And so Diane is trying to see, and we'll give an example. She wants to see if Logitech would show up. I'm going to search, and we've got a whole bunch of answers. So we got PC stores, and yes, I think they sell Logitech keyboards on the PC stores contracts. So that seems right to me. There's Logitech items that are sold in the integrated classrooms, probably more keyboards and mice. I don't know what else Logitech sells, to be honest with you. It's showing up in security system and electrical. It did not show up on a Caresoft contract, probably because that isn't defined in the Caresoft contract documents. Dorian, are those the authorized distributors for Logitech? Depends on what you're buying. It sounds like on Caresoft, you're probably getting a software from Logitech, and these ones are showing hardware. So there's a lot of different options when you're looking. If you wanted more information for just Logitech, I would say looking for software. And those are the cloud contracts. Those are the best ones, doing a get a quote and looking for what you're looking for. I want Logitech 2.5 software, the best one ever. Quote request and see what vendors come back to offer that software for you.
You have a hand.
Oh, a hand. Sorry, Randy. Go ahead, Randy.
I'm not sure if I'll ask this correctly, but the old system, if a state employee did a search and say there were multiple vendors that had that particular item, we would tend to get, say we had 3 contracts, we would get 3 requests for quote. Does the new system narrow that, or do we still get 3 individual requests for the same request? If that makes sense.
It does. So for this example, and this will show, this one's a good one because I believe this is a cloud contract. So the get a quote button quotes everybody in the portfolio. It doesn't just pick 3. So if I press this get a quote button, it's actually going to send a quote request to this vendor. I forgot who it was. Who are you? This is Ask Reply. And it's going to quote request all of these other 17 vendors at the same time. So it's actually going to send out 18 quote requests. Did that answer your question, Randy?
Yeah, sort of. I've noticed, like, for instance, just say it's Logitech and it's on PC stores and our cloud contract, we would get 2 requests. And so just wanted to see if it was going to continue to be that way.
Oh, is this from the vendor perspective? Yeah. Oh,
Sorry, I should have addressed myself that way.
Sorry about that.
You would only get 2 requests if they went to both portfolios and hit that get a quote on both, on the old and new system, because it's by portfolio on the old and the new system.
Correct.
Cool.
So that's what
Thank
I was going to say, Randy. I don't know how you were getting 2 if it's 2 separate portfolios, because it requests the portfolios, not the vendors. So probably somebody really wanted you, Randy, and so they
Yes. So, sometimes people, I think, will click 4 or 5, and so all of a sudden we'll get, it's no big deal. I'd rather get too many than too few.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. And thank you for the clarification that he's a vendor on that. So, if any of you others are vendor, I thought I was talking to agencies, let me know, because I'm answering from an agency perspective. David, so only the vendors need to log in. So on this, there's a login option up there. That is actually for the vendors to log in to do their usage reports and pay their admin fees. Regular agencies searching and looking at our contract search page don't need to ever log in because this is the public facing type of thing. Yes, you as the public can download this full contract. Oh, why is it having me log in? Uh-oh. Let me look into your question, David. Now I feel like a liar. Is it having the same problem from you as well? Don't know. I'm going to look into that, David, because it should be open to the public to be able to download contracts. Let me read this out. Dorian asked, I have a question regarding software and hardware cooperative contracts. The person that appears on the contact in the contract is normally not the actual sales rep. Is there, okay. So for us, we put the contact at who the vendor tells us to. So that's who they've told us to put. When I were putting contracts in place, I would say, hey, who should I put on there as the contact for agencies to buy off your contract? And they'd say, oh, it's Jeff Miller and here's his email. If that's not the case, then we should be updating it because this is for you, the agency. So that's who it's supposed to be. It may not be who's on the contract on our website. There is no more contract summary document. Kayla, you could print this page. And as you, sorry, I just right-clicked, and this is basically what the contract summary was before. So I right-clicked, and this is a contract summary. Before, the contract summary was just making this a PDF. You could print this as a PDF, and so it's a similar document. But no, there isn't a button for a summary document.
Can you walk us through what you did again, please, Shirley?
Oh, thank you. Sorry. So I right-clicked on my mouse, and I just pressed print. I'm sure there's tons of other ways to do that, but that's how I print a page. Then you would change to save as PDF as your destination. And that's how I would then print this page to PDF.
I think with the downloading of the files, it could be that some of the files haven't migrated over. I'm also not able to, download some of the contract files and stuff.
Well, that is not
Just
right.
a-
Well, this is day one jitters. It's up for the first time. So this is actually really good that we're doing a live. So I know what to go back with our department and see what we can do to fix those contract documents. The answer is you should be able to. This is why we have the website, is for you guys to look at the contracts. So if you can't actually look at them, I think we're kind of failing on the website. So we'll definitely work on that to get that fixed.
Sherilyn, can you show what I think Tara had a good point of using quotes for phrases and things that really helps narrow it down. Can we do a quick live demo of an example that I tried? So on the keyword search, try like school supplies, for example, and go down. It pulls up, over 1,000 contracts, many of which are not applicable. Again, thinking about how the search works, any contract with the word supplies or school supplies will be pulling up, right? But now if you try it with school supplies with quotes, and this is similar to like when you use Google or anything, right? It's not any different. Now it'll only pull up results that have the exact phrase school supplies. And it narrows it down dramatically. So I think that's a useful tip, thinking about how the technology works and how it's literally just scanning the words. If you're looking for words that have solution in them, goods, services, supplies, those words are in all our terms and conditions, and every contract will pull up. So if maybe think of like a unique phrase or a truly unique word, that would work. But if you're looking for phrases, I would really try the quotes. It should help a lot.
And on that as well, I never love a filter. Maybe you guys love a filter. If you pressed this, you could do what, why is it doing this to me? Start from scratch. Uh-oh, there we go. If you did the filter here, why isn't it working? Show filter. Never mind, I'm not going to show it. I take back. There's a filter where it could say like exact phrase and things like that. To do what Blake's saying, in case you can't remember the little parentheses, there is the filter where you could do
quotes. Don't use parentheses, quotes.
Quotes, parentheses, quotes. Yes.
You have another question in chat.
Oh, perfect. Yes, why don't we search for Carahsoft? So I typed in Carahsoft search, and so we got cloud solutions, and then I don't know why you got those other two. They probably mentioned Carahsoft somewhere in their documents. And so that's kind of the idea. Like it is gonna pull sometimes some strange answers. I don't want to steal all of Tara's time.
Oh, I only need 15 minutes. Any
Whoa.
other questions? Because I think this one's really important. This is why a lot of people came today.
Perfect. Randy, vendor, go for it.
Vendor and longtime lurker.
There we go. There we go. What's up?
Back in the olden days, you used to be able to get usage reports. Do we ever see that coming back to this portal?
So
Do you mean, yeah, for other people, Randy?
Yeah.
Like for other vendors?
Not that any of us would ever want to be competitive, but
Well, we wouldn't want competition.
you can only see your own. I don't see it changing as any time in the future, especially now with these additional conditions with the Utah ID, the security with this ID and the process is to be stronger, so that hopefully you will never see anybody else's, only what yours are. But I don't see that being a
okay,
thing.
yeah. And back in the dark ages, it was
We
all
used to post it.
considered public records, so it saved doing grandma requests. We could just go in and pull reports on our competitors. So just a wishful
Yeah.
thought.
It'll be the same as the current. It'll be considered public, but not posted. So you
Just thought
wouldn't
maybe
get
with
the
new
grandma.
stuff, maybe we'd have some old features back.
Out with the old and with everything recycles. It's a circle, right?
So John asked about searching for the individual vendors on Carahsoft. John, it's only going to pull up what the vendor puts in the contract, or we put in the contract, or in one of the attachments of the contract. That's all there is to it. And I'm assuming Carahsoft's changed so fast they don't really want to deal with that.
It's maybe a good point too, and I think Katie sent one of the links, but when you go to the actual ordering instructions for those big resellers, they have full catalogs and full lists of everything that's available. So you don't have to like guess, you know. So there should be a link. Maybe the ordering instructions got destroyed. Oh, you know, it's still there.
Can I make a comment really quick, Blake?
Mhm.
So we just did the upload. This is day 1 of launch, right? We are going to clean up these things. So we'll clean up and make that actually look like a link. We're going to get rid of these strange question marks. This is a process for our staff that we're going to be going and doing in the next couple of weeks. So it won't look as hideous at this moment in time. But
Yeah.
yes, let's show Blake's thing. If you went in that link.
Oh, that's just our pod assignment link.
Oh, I thought it was the link to the thing.
Is this
Can
the
you
your
drop
stuff?
the link?
Yeah, most of the instructions didn't come over, unfortunately. So, but normally in the ordering instructions for the big resellers like Carahsoft, we have a link to a folder with their catalogs, and they have a shortened version of their catalog that just simply lists everything that's available, and then they have detailed catalogs that have actual SKUs and pricing for everything that's available on cloud, not on SFAR.
Katie dropped links for Carahsoft and SHI.
Yeah, that's a little bit
chat.
different. Those are
It's different.
actually on their website. They've created their own external pages that have that information for easy access to. Also, I think Kelly's been toying around and doing stuff with AI to combine the catalogs into easy search tools. So we're launching the new cloud portfolio next month. It'll take a while to ramp up because they have to actually rebuild their catalogs under the new master agreements and everything. But in time, I think we'll have even better search tools available using AI to search those catalogs in a more quick manner.
Perfect. There's a couple questions I definitely want to hit, and then I think it is time to turn over to Tara. Dorian, that's for your question about should we always go to the website to get quotes, or can we use direct email to vendors? You can direct email vendors. The quote button is to make it easier, so you don't have to send out, that for that one example, 18 emails from your email. You could just write one email, and it goes to the 18 vendors. And then it's not like I guess you could blind copy. I don't know, whatever you want to do, Dorian. It's just an option there for people. It's not required in any form. Randy, really quick to get to yours. We don't have the money to build a punch portal and to link it to our financial system. I don't see that happening unless we get a brand new financial system.
I'm wondering even for front end, because a lot of the indexing problems you're talking about, us vendors would have it indexed on our site and then pull back. And I would imagine a lot of us might be willing to absorb some of those costs to have a more live link between the two. Maybe not back end, processing of POs and payments, but front end searches and pricing. So it's just a thought. If you want to talk about it, let me know. And Insight would be happy to explore that.
Yeah, for our website, I would say no at this time. I know NASPO, Omnia, maybe some others have punch out options for their websites, but for us, for our build and our budget and what we need to do with the search, that isn't what we're doing at the moment. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tara. You've got 18 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Marcy and Sherilyn, both for taking time, building, and sharing your knowledge with us. I am the paperwork portion of the preferences, portals, and paperwork, and I've decided to call it Buried and Resurrected Paperwork. So let us move on. So these are my 4 different topics, the last one being a Q&A. We're going to start with the document graveyard. So I have recently been involved in decluttering. I don't know if any of you have done that, but I do decluttering. And one of the things that I love to do is say to my family, hey, find 25 items in the house that you're going to donate or get rid of. My husband cringes, but he has a whole garage, a whole shed, a basement storage, and a kitchen to choose from. He doesn't have to pick from his precious clothes and books. It's interesting that while these things store many things, the things that we have, some of them haven't been used for a year, and some of them, you get them out and you're like, oh my goodness, I haven't even seen this for years. Didn't even know I had it. So why do I keep them? Why do I have them? The same is true for digital clutter. Let me ask a question, and if you do not know how to use the emojis yet, down there where the big red button is that will get you out of this meeting, you go over 3 to 4 buttons to the left, there's a little smiley face. If you click on that, it gives you an emoji, and we're going to use that. So my question is, if I showed your desktop today, your desktop for your computer, and I pulled it out, would you have more than 10 files and 10 folders together on your desktop? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Glad I'm not the only one. So let me ask another question. If I searched your entire computer, would I find a folder that has, or even just the documents from state purchasing that you've downloaded? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Some of you. Oh, enough that it's going to explode. Now, one more question. If I looked in that folder, what are the chances that the download date would be more than 12 months? Thumbs up, thumbs down. We have some problems here. This is why we call this a graveyard. Let's give you a hint that these save files are cluttering your hard drive and they're secretly sabotaging you. Let me tell you a secret. If you look on this desktop here, it says zipped before 2024. Every time I do a brown bag at a PEP seminar, I zip everything in my desktop to hide that I have dozens of icons on my desktop. I zip it into a folder, and I found one when I was preparing for this that says zipped before 2024. Yes, you can laugh. I'm not even sure what was in it, and inside there was another zip folder from when I had zipped it for another conference. Again, feel free to laugh. Not a big deal. I had clutter and I didn't know. I had documents upon documents that I didn't even know I had anymore. They were buried. So let me help you imagine for just a moment. If you're a state agency person and you need a contract put in place, and for your procurement people out there, I want you to think about how this happens to you. You need a new contract and you go, I was here 5 years ago when this contract that's expiring was put in place. Now, let me, on an aside, say congratulations for being here for 5 years. But you dig through all your documents and you find buried that one document from that solicitation you resurrected. You think, great, it's going to save me time. You tweak the document, you change the dates, you don't even look at the current market, and you send it to state purchasing. And when you do, we're going to send you something back like this. Dear sir or ma'am, thank you for your solicitation documents. Unfortunately, what you sent scared us. This form is so old that most of our team has never seen it because many of our team have been here less than 5 years. We don't even know this form. We cannot solicit using this documentation and scope of work. The market's changed and you will be purchasing an outdated item. Please do a little market research, find and complete the new form which is attached. Sincerely, the document graveyard auditor. So that's what we have to send you. And we really don't want to do it at all. So here we go. The old versions need to die. Please do not keep them. Please throw them in that trash can that we're going to call the graveyard. Your little recycle bin, put it in there, and to save yourself, hit delete from the recycle bin and empty it out. But you say, what if I need that form? I might need it. Well, if it's been over 12 months, it's likely bad. And we're going to show you in a few slides how to get the new forms. So just keep in mind, ADA has cause and effect. If you weren't aware, hopefully you're all aware, the ADA Title II compliance requires all public entities to ensure that their services, programs, and activities are accessible to people with disabilities. This is pretty extensive. It's everything on your website and every attached document, every document type, that's slide decks, PDFs, Words, Google, anything, and your mobile apps. And who's considered a public entity? When I looked, it included state and local governments, public schools, which in Utah includes charter schools, community college, public universities, public police departments, state and local courts, state and local election offices, public hospitals, public healthcare clinics, parks, recreation programs, public libraries, public transit. I've probably covered pretty much everybody in this meeting. Now, when is it required? For the state of Utah, you're going to see that we have this. I guarantee the state of Utah is over 50,000. We have to have it done in 8 months. If you have less constituents that you serve, you have a later date. If you're a special district, you have the same date as those that have less that they serve. Your job is to go find your public legal and have them read the law and have them help you find it. When do we have to be compliant? And I'm going to tell you, don't wait till the last minute. I'm learning really hard and fast how this is a problem and how hard it is to do ADA compliance. Now, because of that cause and effects, we're busy updating every document we have. We're reviewing it to see if we even need it. We're inspecting to determine if it's according to code and rule, because just like in my house where some things are not touched for a year, we have documents that have not been changed for a long time. And we're inspecting to see if they're according to the processes that we currently use. And then finally, once we do all that, we then make it ADA compliant. So now that you know the cause, the effect, everything, let's talk about some documents that we're finding, that we're resurrecting, that we think that maybe you should know about. First, where do I find my documents? You go to purchasing.utah.gov and you click forms, which the little tab disappeared for a long time, but now it's back. Click forms. It will take you to this page. This page has 3 bars, buttons that have gotten longer, and inside each of those bars is a drop down that helps. The one for solicitation forms is everything you need during a solicitation process. Contracts, amendments, and purchase orders are for when you have a contract you're writing. How do I do it? An amendment you're changing, and purchase orders actually aren't in there, but we're leaving that just in case. And then terms and conditions. Every terms and condition that we use in the current form is going to be on here. Just like we ask you to download our forms, we ask our team to not store terms and conditions and to download them each time. Now, if you're a public entity and you see a form that I show you, or a form in here that you want to use and you want to steal from us and change it, I'm a firm believer in stealing from us and changing it. Why reinvent the wheel? So let's look. Just so you know, in October, we changed the Part 8 form. That's also known as the sole source form, or the AC West form. For those who have been around those 5 years or more, Part 8 may not mean anything to you. That document is not yet, nor are any of these documents that I'm talking about, ADA compliant. They are just not yet. Give it time. So don't even download it and store it now and say, I've got a new one, it's good. The contract cover sheet, which is called contract cover sheet, but it's really the contract first page. It was changed July 15th, and so was the amendment form. No, they're still not ADA compliant, but we felt the need to add this statement. This contract is not fully executed until the state of Utah approving authority has signed the contract. We left it approving authority because that may not be us. It may be UDOT. It may be DFCM if they use our contract. It may be you guys if you use our contract. So one of the documents I want to share is the solicitation questionnaire. It's gotten an update. It's not yet ADA compliant. The forms are major difficult to do, but we've tried to make this document a little less scary. And what is its purpose? It's for the end user to gather their thoughts and provide insights about what they're buying and help us help them build a scope of work if they don't know how. I consider this the bones, and yes, I'm using that as a pun on the graveyard. These are the bones of a future solicitation. The scope of work template's also a great start. We are also renovating it. It helps if they know how to build the deliverables, the tasks, the expectation, the timelines, all of that in a nice way. It's kind of the muscles of the solicitation, the one that we point back to and say, this is what you were told. This then can be tweaked to become the scope of work for the contract when we remove all vendor language. Again, this one's not quite ready. It's maybe a week and a half in the making. Conflict of interest form hasn't even been looked at, but it's one that if you're a small public entity, you might want to take a look at. We have every evaluation committee member for an RFP or a Part 15 review the rule and the code for the committee. So they review those code and rule for evaluation committee members. They then sign and commit to use fair, unbiased evaluation and to keep the information that they're evaluating secure. If you don't have something like this that you do with your evaluation committee, highly recommend you steal. We also have this amendment guideline to help our end users know how to fill out our state of Utah amendment form. And then we have some common mistakes made on, and there are two versions, made on contracts and made on amendments. These are both live on our site. These are just to help those end users review their own contracts to look for errors. It's also a great reference for a new team member that's in procurement to know how and what they're looking for on a contract or a contract review. So just to wrap up, what I need you to see is your old procurements need to die. Put them in the recycle bin and wipe your recycle bin clean so you won't be tempted. Each time you need a document, go to our website and look at it. And if you like something and you're another public entity outside of the state procurement, feel free to borrow our documents. And if you need the Word version, just reach out to me, Tara, and I will help you. Now, I know there's probably not a lot of questions on this, but I'm open for questions. And if you have another question you want to ask Sherilyn, we can. Anybody that wants to walk out of the meeting after this can. And then we'll just let Sherilyn talk if she needs to, because she doesn't have anything else to do on opening day. Okay, so if there are no questions, feel free to drop off. If you want to stay and ask us a question or two, feel free to do that. Thanks, everybody.
Tara, there is a question in the chat.
Okay.
Is there a way to know whether or not documents on your site are ADA compliant?
I would say if the date is after August 1st on the revision date at the bottom, then it's ADA compliant, which is only like 3 or 4 documents at this point. We're still working on it. Okay, just a second. No. How would an ADA form differ? Oh, Dustin, the ADA form, you have to be able to use your keyboard to move. It has to be screen reader acceptable. It has to not have colors that are hard for people to read. So it has to have a certain amount of contrast. It has to have every picture or line or box has to have an alt text for it so the ADA compliant can read. There's a whole bunch of stuff, Dustin. And then Denise, sorry if I missed this, but is there a way to copy the list to send out? Hover over a list to pin it. I don't know what you're asking, Denise. Did she already hop off? I bet that's a SEC question.
I need info to answer it unless anybody else knows what she's asking.
Yeah, since she's not hopping up, I'm gonna assume she's walked out. I'll reach out to her. Okay.
I did realize, to an earlier comment. Thank you, Holly. Let me go up to her earlier comment.
I'm going to assume that she wants to pull a list of your SCCs off the website.
So there wasn't before, and not that I know of now. That answers that question. They previously on our previous search, you couldn't just download the contract number for a name of every contract. We did that because
people were storing them in their graveyards.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. And so if a contract was canceled or we changed contract numbers or the vendor name were changed, people were just referring to those massive lists they had saved on their desktop and were using outdated contracts. So we took away that capability on the previous search. And so if there is a way on this new search, I don't know how, but we certainly didn't build that capability. But what we did as a kind of a compensation type of thing, is that portfolio search, which I think is helpful. I think it helps people generate ideas or see kind of overall what they're looking for. Like where did the toilets go a moment ago? The vaulted buildings and toilets, like maybe you didn't even know and you're scrolling through looking for, a construction management. You see it, maybe it kind of will give you ideas of what's available in the future or things you're looking for. But no, there isn't like an overall list. I didn't answer that person's question previously before to Wendy's point. So any NASPO contracts we have available on our search or any other cooperative, Omnia, Sourcewell, MCAP, et cetera, those are ones that we've signed a participating addendum for. And so those are the ones that we have on our website. It's not all inclusive of any of those cooperatives. But if I search NASPO, in theory, because if we look at one of these, why don't we do non-cloud, kind of spice it up a moment, it will have a contract tag, NASPO. So if you type in NASPO, you should get all of the NASPO contracts out of the search results that we have a PA for. Though that seems wrong because that's a lot of contracts. So NASPO might not be the right search term. Let's see. Or that's all that's on our website because my search is gone. Sorry, let me just type that in again then. Oh, now we're down to 185. Much better.
Teresa asked a question. Marcy answered it. Maybe you want to expound on it.
Let's see. Teresa?
Mm-hmm.
So Teresa's question is, what stops a vendor from pulling up their competitor's contract? Nothing. It's public. Government contracts are public. They can look it up and do whatever. They can be competitive. They can offer better pricing. It's a great thing that it's not kept behind walls. So yeah,
downloaded.
It's behind walls today, but normally it isn't.
Denise is coming back to clarify, she said.
Oh, okay, good.
Hey, I thought you guys were done, so I just jumped off.
You're good.
Blake asked for the certificate. I'm like, okay, we're over. I'm kidding. No, it was the copy. So a lot of times, I have employees reaching out, who can I buy this item from? And so we used to be able to find the portfolio and you had that little copy button. Is that going to be a feature that might come back? Because if not, then I'm going to have to screenshot it. But at least with the link, they could automatically open it.
We don't have that feature right now, Denise,
Okay.
and I make no guarantees about the future, but I know what you're talking about now,
Yeah.
and that is one of my favorite features. So
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
So
so it is there now, but
Can I share something that maybe will help her and get me in trouble with Sherilyn?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to take over your presenting here.
Okay.
So most websites that have this layout, you can, if you're very careful, copy and paste it into Excel.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
The links do not work. We really don't want you to keep it in a graveyard and let them use it time and time again. But that might make your life easier, Denise, for how you guys work your system.
Yeah, they're simple folks. So if the copy button comes back, at least they can click and open. No, I do like the idea.
But you can always just go and
Yes.
give them the
I did that
URL
while
for
we
each
were
one.
doing the presentation. So I had
The
a
URL
question.
still works.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what was my question. I just wanted that little copy feature. So
Don't
No.
blame you. It's something that we'll look into, Denise, and see. It's a completely different platform that this is built on, even though it looks very similar. It's completely different tech and everything like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, technology gets better with time, and something that was made 70 years ago should be easy now, right? So
should be keyword, but I understand.
no, I'll look into it, Denise.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
I think we're good.
Well, thank you, Tara. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.